Warning: the following paid political advertisement may be considered offensive to liberals, rhinos, feminists, and animal rights activists, and possibly homosexuals. And this political parody would be banned under the Humane Cosmetics Act, which was sponsored in the current Congress by Congressman Donald S. Byer Jr., and which would ban anyone from putting lipstick on a dog. Note, however, in response to political rhetoric vilifying select religious groups and increasingly hostile rhetoric toward religious freedom in the immigration system, a House delegation led by Representative Donald Byer of Virginia introduced the Freedom of Religion Act to prohibit the use of religious litmus tests as a means to ban immigrants, refugees, and international visitors trying to enter the United States. But for those with religious views and faith beliefs already in the United States, they must seek salvation in a higher authority. That is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me, God. You have now been duly warned, and we will proceed without further ado with this political advertisement. Charles Hernick exalts the freedoms of speech that Americans enjoy, and in this political contest has stated that he is holding a sitting congressman to a higher standard and encouraging the political discussion that is necessary for this election. So perhaps it is wholly insignificant that during the nomination campaign he acquiesced in party auxiliaries, silencing the voice of his opponent by banning him from posting on their social media pages, and he denies knowledge of or relation to any internet trolls. And it is inconsequential to some that Hernick continues to ban his opponents from posting on his social media page. But the answer that voters need to know in November 2016 is that if Charles Hernick ran a clean campaign, who let the dogs out? And why doesn't a person aspiring to leadership know the answer? Perhaps because it is his first try at politics. But isn't that something that a leader needs to know too? And why didn't he know? Former Arlington County GOP Chairman Matthew Wavero, who claimed to be disinterested and who continued to deny any active support for the campaign of Republican nominee Charles Hernick, was an early and boisterous voice in opposition to Mike Webb before the nomination convention, and even sent an email to delegates to encourage them to contact their leadership and not let Webb enter the convention hall. Charles Hernick, despite being on the email chain, denies any knowledge of the incident in his clean campaign. If it wasn't Hernick, who let the dogs out? And why didn't he know? Former Arlington GOP Vice Chairperson Jessica Talbot, a health policy expert for Texas Republican Congressman and decorated war hero Sam Johnson, expressed great offense when Mike Webb, a retired Army Ranger, used a military analogy, and she found offensive that he was also an ardent supporter of guns. In a bombastic email, Talbot dismissed Webb's commitment to the Republican Party because he, a lifelong Republican, permitted his local membership to lapse after months of reprehensible treatment by the leadership, and told Webb that she could not even provide a ballpark estimate how long it would take to enter 248 names on a spreadsheet, while accusing Webb of attempting to disenfranchise voters by simply asking when the information would be available. Charles Hernick, despite being on the email chain, denies any knowledge of the incident in his clean campaign. So if it wasn't Hernick, who let the dogs out? And why didn't he know? Former chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus of Northern Virginia, Robert Kenyon, repeatedly engaged in threatening exchanges with Mike Webb, calling him a fraud, a clown, and a fake CI Ranger. He more than once publicly encouraged Webb to take it on the DL like we did and to go away. Moreover, not only did he specifically state that he would wait until after the convention to deal with this clown and make him famous, and not in a good way, but also long before the convention engaged his friend John Lilia, who manages a blog claiming to expose persons who lied about military service, to organize veterans groups to spread the lie that Mike Webb had not served in the military and had lied about other aspects of his meritorious service, including his rank of major. Yet Charles Hernick, despite being on the email chain, denies any knowledge of the incident in his clean campaign. So if it wasn't Hernick, who let the dogs out? And why didn't he know? Matt Hurt, the former chairman of the Arlington Falls Church Young Republicans, repeatedly and publicly expressed his disdain against Mike Webb, was instrumental in banning his voice from party auxiliary social media pages and threatened legal actions against Webb for repeated contact to the party leadership, raising the issues of their malfeasance. Matt Hurt waged a social media battle against Webb, and before the nomination convention, led the way in an effort to embarrass Webb in an ambush debate in the meeting place of the Young Republicans. Disappointed that Webb did not decline the invitation, as Charles Hernick immediately had posted on his social media page as soon as the invitation was extended, Hurt and other Young Republicans taunted Webb for several days, claiming that his acceptance of the invitation was not clear. Yet Charles Hernick, despite being on the email chain, denies any knowledge of the incident in his clean campaign. So, if it wasn't Hernick, who let the dogs out? And why didn't he know? Charlie Keller, former Arlington GOP chairman and current chief of staff to Virginia Republican Congressman Bob Goodlatte, posted a 6-paragraph screed on the Facebook page of Mike Webb, which is still posted to this day, calling Webb a liberal, a racist, and a liar. Keller chastised Webb for employing what he called black speak and informed Webb that that language was not acceptable in polite society, nor suitable for any person running for public office. Keller publicly proclaimed that Webb was a punk and mentally ill, in need of medical attention, and took the liberty of speaking on behalf of all voters in the 8th Congressional District to tell Webb to abandon his campaign. Moreover, Keller demanded that Webb delete all of his social media accounts with the threatening language, "If you leave us alone, we will leave you alone." Yet, Charles Hernick, despite being on the email chain, denies any knowledge of the incident in his clean campaign. So, if it wasn't Hernick, who let the dogs out? And why didn't he know? For the Democrats and friends of Don Meyer, Gail Gordon Donegan, Scott Stewart, Jerry Day, Ethel Leonardson Morgan, and others. And for the Republicans, and on behalf of the candidate Charles Hernick, David Silver, Ford Chinwood, Fred Dowling, Christopher Smith, and others. Why, even the local press has had some fun with a candidate described as speaking in stream of consciousness, obviously unable to pay the filing fee to even be considered by the convention, declared dead on arrival, and most recently by the editor of the Arlington Sun-Gazette, Scott McCaffrey, who described Webb as more weird than competitive and demanded removal from Webb's press distribution list. Yet, Charles Hernick, despite being on the email chains, denies any knowledge of the incidents in his clean campaign. So if it wasn't Hernick, who let the dog out? politicians will say anything. Major in the majors. Let's make Americans great again. I am Major Mike Webb, and I am running for U.S. Congress. Honest. Viewers are advised and assured that no animals were harmed in any way in the production of this political parody advertisement. However, federal regulators and law enforcement continue to examine the other very serious issues raised in this political content. Sit, King, sit. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.